Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Chris with Inside the U. Just got done with a press conference with Mario Cristobal, his first time speaking since the bowl game, and then also new defensive coordinator Corey Hetherman spoke. It was great hearing those guys speak, and there were a lot of notes coming from the press conference, which I will get to from what Coach Cristobal had to say. But here's Coach Hetherman speaking about his defensive philosophy. Essentially, I asked him his thoughts on what it's going to take for a player to play for him, what he wants his defense to look like, and here he is.
We're going to talk about being physical. And we're going to talk about swarming. The three things I talked to them yesterday about. I want you guys to love football. Like when you walk in the building, I want you to be excited to be here. I want it to be I can't wait to get to the football building. I can't wait to, lift, run, eat, whatever it is, practice, watch film. I want them to enjoy being here. And then when we play, I want to be the most physical team. We want to strike first. We want to strain all the way through. We want to, finish, on the ball carrier or on the ball in the air. But we want to be a physical football team, and then we want to play fast. We want to swarm. And I don't want it to be a thing where we're constantly thinking or there's a lot going on. We just want to line up, understand what your job is, know my alignment, know my job, make sure my eyes are in the right spot, and then go play fast.
And as you saw with his message there, he definitely spoke a lot about playing fast and physical, an aggressive style of defense. And I'll have more on my thoughts on Coach Hetherman in a later video, so definitely stay tuned to that. I'll definitely break him down, kind of offer my thoughts there. But just my thoughts on the press conference were, I thought he came across well. He did talk about his coaching journey. It's been very impressive, his track record over the years, essentially going from a big-time grind at a low-level programs and then making his way all the way to a program like Miami. So he talked a lot about, what he wants to see from his defense, what he expects from his defensive players, and really one of the things that stood out to me in addition to his message that I just showed was he talked a lot about simplifying things and wants the team to play fast because he wants to simplify the defense. So I thought it was great. I thought he did a good job conveying his message. I thought he came across well, and I think Miami's got a good chance to have a good defense if they get the right guys in. And as I said at the bowl game, regardless of who the defensive coordinator is this year, I thought the defensive players had to step up, and I still feel that way. I think the players have to take some ownership on what happened last year. You can't just chalk it up to the coaching situation or whatever it might be. The players returning have to step up, and certainly they got big news with Akeem Mesidor announcing that he's going to return, and Coach Cristobal had positive things to say about that. It feels like he's going to make a big impact on this defense. And also Ruben Bain. Ruben Bain was the guy that I asked Coach Cristobal about, just in terms of what's it going to take for his next year in the offseason to have his best season at Miami. And he said he's got to pay attention to all the things that are important in the offseason, but noted that a guy like him, as well as these two guys going into year 3 into the program, Mark Fletcher, with what he went through with the offseason last year with his injury. So going into year 3, Francis Maui-Noah, another guy going into year 3. So Coach Cristobal grouped Ruben with those two guys in terms of just making that next step. But to me, I think this defense in 2025 is really going to come down to the impact of Ruben Bain. I really think he can make a huge impact, but he's got to be much better when he's on the field. This has to be his best season. I think we've seen flashes, and certainly he dealt with injuries last year. But I think now with the full offseason, get his body right, get everything right that he needs to take care of in the offseason, and really focus on having a big year. And it's not just year 3 for these guys, it's draft year. So we'll see how these guys kind of transpire also with the secondary. And I thought this was good. I thought Coach Cristobal did a good job talking about the secondary, and he felt like they were shorthanded coming into the season, and he said that was his fault. He said it twice during the press conference. And look, he didn't talk too much about Coach Guidry, but he just said, it was his fault in terms of the roster, which I agree with. I felt like going into the season, it was a defense that had a lot of question marks, and that ultimately does fall on the head coach. So we will see how things go now that they've added some key defensive guys in the secondary there, and hopefully you see more progress and more impactful plays, and I think that's what's going to take for the defense. So flipping to the offensive side of the ball, I asked Coach Cristobal about the addition of Georgia quarterback Carson Beck, what he likes about him as a player, what he sees in him, but also, why it was a good fit for him at Miami. And here's what Coach Cristobal had to say about Carson Beck.
He had an elite year in 23 and a very good season in 24. He's been protected different ways, been through a couple of different system morphs, right? Coach Monken was there, and then I went to Coach Bobo, guys that I have tremendous respect for. There's some system carryover, and he's athletic, he's smart, he's got superior arm talent, he's accurate, he can extend plays, he can also sit in the pocket, he runs well. he's a great human being, and he has demonstrated leadership qualities, and he's really hard on himself, and he wants to be great, and one of the best qualities is he wanted to be here at Miami, and that's gaining more and more value as we head into this next generation of college football. You got to want guys that want to be Miami Hurricanes as bad as they want to do and be anything else. A guy that's really geared and convicted upon having team success.
And then another thing with Carson, with his injury status, Cristobal was asked about it in terms of, will Carson essentially be able to do anything in spring ball? And Coach didn't want to mention anything at this point in time, so we'll see. I'd be surprised if he does much during the spring. I think it's still going to be a very important time for the offense, and I think Carson will be around the program, which will certainly help, and maybe he'll throw some. But I think for him, I think the biggest thing for Carson to get ready for the season is to make sure he's fully healthy and just have a really strong summer. And with how things work with building a roster, guys are going to be on campus. You're not waiting until August for everybody to arrive and put together your seasons. It doesn't work like that anymore. So I think Carson's going to have some time over the summer. I think that'll be the big point to watch for. And I think in the spring, it'll be up to the other quarterbacks. I think they'll handle the majority of the responsibility right behind me here, on Green Tree practice fields, and also, how they split things up in the indoor facility as well. A few other things with the offense. Coach Cristobal started his press conference being asked about Cam Ward and the situation in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. And although I thought Cristobal did a good job today clarifying why Cam sat out in the second half, and that whole situation that certainly had a lot of narratives, a lot of people talking, did Cam quit on the team, all these things. I thought Mario did a good job today speaking about it, but I thought Mario did a poor job not discussing it after the game at the Pop-Tarts Bowl, essentially allowing false narratives or narratives to really run wild. And I think it has to be a learning experience for Coach Cristobal. Certainly he didn't have to mention anything if he didn't want to leading up to the game. Maybe he wanted to keep things secret, how much Cam would play, maybe competitive advantage. I understand that. I just thought everything after the game, I thought he would have done, Cam, and just the program and everything. I think he should have addressed it head on and said the things he said today, in terms of why what the plan was, and that it was always a plan, because some people thought Cam just decided to sit out at halftime, which according to Cristobal today, and which is what I reported after the game, which was not the case. But still, again, I think it was a learning experience, and Coach spoke a lot about Cam, and his impact, which he said generations to come, not just the addition of Carson Beck, but just moving forward, and he said he's looking forward to seeing him, run an NFL franchise. It was good to hear him, Coach Cristobal, speak about Cam in those terms, and Cam's got a shot at being the number 1 overall pick, which is obviously would be a big accomplishment and great for the program. Even though it ended the way it did, not getting to accomplish all of the goals that they had accomplished, it would certainly be a big thing for Cam Ward in this program. So that was good to hear, and also too, Coach Cristobal speaking about other offensive players. He didn't speak too much about running backs, but I think Jordan Lyle and Mark Fletcher are certainly excited to see how they do in spring ball, a few months away. But I asked Coach about JoJo Trader. JoJo was a guy that played well in the bowl game. And I asked Coach what he wanted to see. What's important for JoJo right now, essentially leading into getting ready for a breakout season is what he's hoping to do. And Cristobal said, that it's really important for JoJo, and certainly he's seen flashes since he's arrived. We've all have when we've been out here, and certainly in games. But he said it's really important for him to really essentially be consistent in a strength and conditioning program, and really that's very important for JoJo. And last year, JoJo dealt with some minor injuries throughout the season, which kind of hampered him in terms of limiting him in practice. And Coach Cristobal just said, it's really important for him to really essentially be on point with strength and conditioning. So definitely pay attention to that in the off season for JoJo. And I think that certainly will help vault him into having a potential breakout season. So that is going to wrap everything up for me. But overall, good day, kind of good vibes around this program just today. A lot of exciting things happening with the new coordinator, a new quarterback, it all happening so fast. And other key additions have been made. CJ Daniels is a big receiver that they're thinking highly of. Coach Cristobal also spoke about him, as well as some other guys. And, kind of thinking back to Mesidor, just his return to the program. And Coach Cristobal calling him a special talent, a special person, thinking he can have a big year. So we'll see how everything goes, but they're going to continue to try to put together the best roster possible, and we'll see if this team can have a big year. And Coach Cristobal, I'll leave you with this. He said, when I asked him about right now, that this time period with the strength and conditioning program leading into spring ball, just how important it is, or what's the point of emphasis for the program. And Cristobal spoke like this is such a big part for their season, right now, January essentially to March, these times right now, it can really, you got to have good times here to kind of essentially kind of going into spring ball, and then obviously into summer and fall practices. So it's a key point right now, and looking forward to hearing some updates, how guys are doing, but definitely want to thank everybody for watching. Like I said, stay tuned for my more in-depth analysis, my thoughts on Corey Hetherman, but I will say I do like the hire, and I think he has a chance to have a good defense here at Miami. Once again, the players step up and they get some key guys in like they have already. So thanks for watching. Have a good rest of the day. Drop in the comments below. Let me know what you think about the hire, maybe some other notes, maybe what you're thinking about this team right now, just a few months away. It's crazy, but just a few months away from spring ball starting. But good to be back out here, definitely. Thanks again for watching. Have a good rest of the day, and take care.